nursery leaders have warned that kids are lashing out and biting their peers because of too much screen time and not enough attention at home. So what do you think in this age of, you know, constantly being on your phone and technology used to almost babysit kids? Can you see the link between the two?
I can see the link, but I have to say, I am going to defend parents here because, look, we're now living in a world, in this country, where it's very expensive to pay your mortgage, to pay your bills, to get, you know, to actually have a good standard of living. So now, when I was growing up, my mum stayed at home because she didn't need to go to work. But now I think both parents are out, and it is very difficult to run that kind of family life and get everything right. And I can understand when for a few minutes you just go, oh, you know, I'm going to put the kids in front of the telly and just have a bit of a break. I can see that. But obviously, we're not just doing it for 2 minutes now. It's actually becoming a huge problem, isn't it? And I'm the first one to say, I don't actually let my kids use technology when they go out, but then I feel really bad when my kids are the only ones and everybody else is, you know, playing with their iPads and phones. So it's just a really difficult one. But when it affects their speech, etc., I think we have to recognise it and do something about it.
There was a study that came out of Canada, and it said that actually children under the age of 2 should have no screen time at all.
Wow.
Because that's the time that they're learning expressive language, and, you know, they need to see sort of visual
cues and what have
visual
you.
cues on the and if you as a parent are you know, doing this and going, Khalid, put that down, or don't do that, or whatever.
On me.
Because you're naughty kids. Because you're the naughtiest. But if we're not looking at them when we're talking to them, then why are they going to look at us and all of that stuff? And then I think they also said that between 2 and 5 years old, they should only have under 1 hour a day. And I mean, I'm as guilty as anybody else about screen time, but I think in restaurants it really depresses me when you see families out and you see the kids are just... So the mum and dad haven't got much to say to each other either, and the kids are just watching, and then the food comes and the kids like this. And I think you have to... I don't mind it a bit, but I think in situations like that, I would always say to my kids, right, screen time down now, we're going to talk, we're going to have a conversation while we're eating, so then it teaches you social skills.
With a 2-year-old or a 3-year-old to say, right, screen time now, we're going to have a conversation.
But social skills have to start somewhere. And I think
but I mean, when you go out for dinner, like into a restaurant, it's hard, isn't it?
Yeah, but I think what I would do is say, while you're eating, we engage and we talk and whatever, and then maybe when you get to the bit where you're having a coffee and you're having a conversation with your husband about next week's schedule or whatever, then let the kids watch something. But otherwise, they just end up with no eye contact.
It's age-appropriate, isn't it? You know, depending on what you do with them. And I think in terms of the nursery saying that kids are biting, 9 times out of 10 they're biting out of frustration when they're that age. Either their brain's ahead of their mouth, if you know what I mean. They can't express what it is that they're trying to get out.
I do remember kids biting way back before screens ever.
Always
Jake
done it.
Jake was like a Rottweiler when he was at play school. He got expelled. He was only 18 months.
What do you think about it all, then?
Listen, it's really difficult because I feel like one of those old people that goes, well, in my day, when we didn't have all this screen... No, we didn't. And I think my mum and dad would have loved it had we have had it. But, you know, when we went out for meals, I guess the difference then was they brought loads of colouring books. So we'd sit there and colour, or we'd bring toys and play with toys. It's just that this is all online. My worry for it more so is I think as they get older and turn into teenagers, I've noticed even, you know, Kira's age group and younger, I think they struggle more with social skills later on. Because they're so used to talking on Snapchat and Instagram and all these, you know, social media things, but they find it really difficult when they come round to the house to have a conversation, and I can't...
But isn't it because life is happening for you on a screen, so you're not kind of using your own imagination? And the same study I was talking about earlier, they said that the more videos that kids watched young, the fewer words they say. Because it's all being done for them like this, so they're not having to sort of think for themselves.
And they're using that use of imaginative play where you...
But Kira, when she was really small, you know, 3, 4 up to about 5. I went in one day and she was counting to 10 in Spanish from watching Dora the Explorer. I didn't know. I couldn't have taught her that.
Yeah.
No? Really?
No.
No?
I struggled to get to 5 in English. I just think it's finding the balance.
It is.
Yeah.
But I do think they have got a point, though. I think this whole thing about eye contact, if you're not looking at your child when they're young and they're not looking at your mouth, then there's an issue there. And I think we have to address it. It's a serious problem.
It is.
Yeah,
Serious
and also,
problem, yeah.
you know, obviously, what we were talking about at the beginning, you know, trying to get Britain talking, the best way to do that is put your phone down and actually speak
Definitely
to the
around
person
mealtime.
that is
Yeah.
next to you.
Yeah. Definitely mealtime.